With anime originating in Japan, it's natural that we're gonna get a lot of shows dedicated to the history and legends of said country. In this case, we are delving into a very interesting interpretation of the legend of Momotaro, the boy born from a peach which is steeped in Japanese culture. The interesting part comes in the very loose amendments they made to make this tale a little more accessible for anime audiences, especially male members. Hint on the members. Momo Kyun Sword is the result, and the only part of it that's even remotely heavy or substantial is the chest of the leading lady. The story itself is simple to grasp. Evil demons are sent from the pits of hell to retrieve the mystical fragments of the Mimichi peach which are scattered over Japan. Whoever gathers all the pieces rules over the land with a magical fist. Unbeknownst to the demons is the existence of a powerful gun named Momoko, who was born from a peach, which had floated downstream and raised by a farming couple. Note the difference in name. It's different to the legend. In this show, the writers from Kibidango Project decided to change the name and gender to more fit an anime story. Most of the fundamentals from the folklore have remained the same, in that Momoko befriends a monkey, a wolf, and a pheasant as faithful companions, and aids in her fight against evil Oni, Japanese demons. That's where the similarities end. The rest of the story consists of magical girl tropes and fighting monsters every episode, an arch nemesis of Momoko showing up, in this case named Onihime. Get it? Oni instead of Orihime? Brilliant! Revealing transformation sequences and drama up the yin-yang. Another addition is the inclusion of 4 heavenly angels named the Celestial Maiden Squad to act as help / comedy relief / making Momoko not look so bad. This sounds a little threadbare, and you'd be right for thinking that. Momo Kyun Sword has to resort to questionable tactics to keep audiences watching, and it's bordering on the petty in this reviewer's opinion. This image just about sums up the purpose of the show for most. It's to showcase the peachy pear that Momoko possesses. Even the narration claims that Momoko, who was born from a peach, grew lovely peaches of her own. Within 56 seconds, we are greeted to them. Not even a minute in, and the directors are playing the booby card. Great! They're not just ample, they're peachy with a constant sheen akin to the fruit. It's extremely petty in my eyes. Having to resort to deep-rooted carnal desires to garner viewership. Yes, this isn't the first time this has happened in anime, and it certainly won't be the last, but to see it so blatantly and so often is so depressing. Examples include camera pans that start at Momoko's chest for no discernible reason, breast physics that would make Einstein turn in his grave, and here's the kicker, Momoko's clothes ending up completely shredded to pieces every single episode. Sometimes more than once. The character of Momoko herself is a walking hypocrisy. For someone so embarrassed of being half naked, she doesn't half show off her assets with little timidity. It's only when she's either drenched or in tatters that she gets shocked like she's not noticed her attire. Momoko's powers are pretty cool though. Her possession fusion involves her combining with her animal companions who have different traits which are useful for certain episodes, and each has their own costume, each more revealing than the last. Kichigame's bird-based costume is the least tasteful despite being the most powerful. Not much is left to the imagination. Oh boy. The trouble is, though, is that this trend keeps going and going in every episode. It doesn't help that a lot of the female cast have ample chests, or none at all. In this world, it's all or nothing. It's such a slap in the face for gender equality, and I can't abide by that. It's such a crushing blow, crushed underneath Momoko's frontage. So let's push them aside and look at the rest of the show, shall we? When you take the boobs out of the equation, Momo Kyun Sword is a decent magical show. It's nothing groundbreaking, and by no means is it pretty to look at. It's thoroughly unspectacular and cheap looking, resorting to iffy character drawings and static shots interspersed with bursts of action. You can find better looking series quite easily which are ninja orientated. The first anime that pops in my head would be Ninja Nonsense. It may not be innocent itself, but it's a far more polished comedy and far better in appearance. Go watch that and then compare that with this. The animal companions, Inugami, Sarugami, and Kijigami, are pretty funny mascots for the show, and do point out that Momoko is a total klutz who just so happens to be a powerful spirit in human form, and they do help carry audience members through episodes if they are clamoring for an exit. The Celestial Maiden Squad are the help for Momoko, and are sent from heaven to assist her. I do find it cute that these guys aren't adept despite giving off an air of professionalism, and quite often they mess things up. Karin, the Wind Maiden, often screws up her predictions, and it's clear that these guys aren't that clever. Thankfully, the main villains Onihime and Enki aren't much better. I will say that this reaction to being crushed by a boulder, a deadpan, wow, from Onihime, did make me laugh, and there were some moments that did generate a chuckle from me. Don't get me wrong though, there are some elements of the story which are so stupid and convenient that they cannot be forgiven, but the flickers of comedy did save this show from being branded a stinker. It has charm when you remove Momoko, although even then you still get the impression that women are objectified in the extreme. I don't hate Momo Kyun Sword, but I can't hide my abject disappointment with it. There are flashes of comedy and moments of well-timed satire aimed at magical girl shows, but these are quickly snuffed out by the misogyny and sexualization of the characters at play. Momoko's design is pretty cool and peach-themed, but it's ruined when her bosom is practically hanging out with little holding it back. I also wish the camera could focus and not get such a hard-on from the breasts and actually focus on the action and her face. Seriously, it was irritating. It does have its moments when it comes to comedy and some relatively curious plot twists. It can actually be considered fun sometimes. If you can look past the glaring issue I'm having with this show, then you might find some mild amusement here. But I would seriously push this to the back of your list of anime to watch. It's not terrible, but it's not good. Not at all. It's cheap titillation for young boys. Momo Kyun Sword is available to stream on Crunchyroll. My rating? Cancel. A sad and sort of pathetic ploy for male audiences, which is thankfully charming enough to be spared being branded a stinker. If you like what you heard, please visit my Patreon campaign to help grow Anifile at patreon.com/MasakoX, or follow me on Twitter @MasakoX, or at Anifile's dedicated Twitter service @Anifile.